Welcome to the Therapeutic Food Solutions podcast. I'm your host, Marian Mitchell. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach, therapeutic diet expert, and founder of The Road to Living Whole. There are many different diets out there. It's hard to know which one is right for you with your chronic illness and autoimmune disease. In this podcast, I'm going to share with you the foundational pieces every single therapeutic diet out there shares, and also how to use the best one for your particular diagnosis. If you've been looking for a meal planning partner, help navigating the complicated healthcare system, and want to feel better quickly, I'm your girl. Grab your kombucha and notebook. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm excited today. We have Sylvia Hall here, and I am really excited for today's interview because we're going to talk about something that can come across as taboo, but I promise it's from a place of love. And that's when you have chronic illness, it kind of becomes your identity and who you are. And that identity actually hinders your ability to heal and become symptom free. Sylvia has a wonderful story of how she came to this place of helping people with their mood and with identity. And I'm just really excited for all of us to learn from her today. So, Sylvia, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to share, the ups and downs. And I love to talk about my business, Lifted Naturals, which I say is my overnight success that only took me 10 years of entrepreneurial failure. But really, my story is so much more than just launching that mood probiotic line and the supplements. It's been a true story of how do I make an impact? How do I use my gifts? How do I get out of my own way to really serve the world in the way that I know I can do? So I'm sure that there's going to be lots of valuable nuggets for the listeners.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So, how did you get to this place where you created the probiotic line, but like what led you to doing that?
So I like to say that it really was spawned by feeling like a mother scorned. And what I mean by that was I wasn't very satisfied with the solutions that were offered to me. I felt like they zapped my creativity, they zapped my sexuality, they zapped my life force. And so from that place of there has got to be a better way to feel better, I started reading some books. A Mind of Your Own by Dr. Kelly Brogan. And that actually was what triggered me to look into the gut-brain connection. And I thought, wow, I've always kind of had some struggles with digestion. What if there's a connection here? So
Hmm.
personally, as a very sensitive individual, like, when we go into a restaurant, I have to set just the right angle because otherwise the windows are so bright and then you're in front of me and I can't see. And then suddenly people are talking really loudly beside me. And I'm like, look, I know we were going to have this really great conversation, but we're going to have to move. There's just a lot of stimulus that can make a sensitive person feel overwhelmed. And so I used that as a gift and I began to test different strains of probiotic bacteria. And what I mean by that is not just a specific genus or species, but the specific strain. So there's three categories when it comes to types of probiotics. And I learned that there are very specific ones that can help with stress and mood. And so I use that sensitivity rather than a crutch, but as a gift of triumph, and found that, wow, I feel a very big difference when I take these specific types. But I was piecing them together, pouring them out, putting some here. And I said, I could do this better. And I've always been entrepreneurial, so I can't say that that was the moment it clicked. I've always kind of looked at things through the lens of, I can make something from nothing, but I knew this was a bigger project that would require a manufacturer and a team of chemists that I could bounce my ideas off of because a chemist, I am not. Once again, I was just someone that was looking for solutions and said, I can do this better. And so I put together a list of strains and called different manufacturers and said, hey, can you do this custom formula for me?
And what has been the impact from that for people who are taking the probiotics?
Well, I think a lot of people have that question of how do I know if I need a mood probiotic? What about just a regular probiotic? And I like to say that our mood probiotics have the same benefits of the regular ones, which is digestive benefits. But these specific strains that we've included also help with stress. And so it's like if you're someone that has a harder time with that stress response or nervous system regulation, that's a pretty good indicator that you would want a probiotic that could also add some beneficial additives in conjunction with digestive support.
Yeah. Some people might not know, but a lot of our serotonin and dopamine are made by our gut bacteria. And if we're lacking in those strains, we're not going to be able to produce those neurotransmitters.
And I think the gut brain connection, it's not necessarily new to people in the chronic illness world, but if people are new to the holistic side of things, they probably haven't heard that about probiotics and how they work and how they can impact our mental health, because it seems like our stomach and our brain are not connected, right? So when people have these questions for you, what do you say to them?
For me personally, I've never experienced the benefits that, like, I've tried herbal tinctures, I've tried various minerals, and nothing was as drastic of a noticeable difference for me than probiotics.
Hmm.
And that it's really all about that two-way communication. Your gut's talking to your brain and your brain is talking to your gut. And like you said, the neurotransmitters that really help us to feel at ease and calm, and those are all made in the gut. And for me, the beautiful thing is that we're not taking a specific neurotransmitter that we think we need, but instead we're just nourishing our microbiome with these supportive strains that really help the innate intelligence of our body do its thing. So maybe you followed that there's been some newer research, as I don't really know if I agree with, but that serotonin maybe isn't everything we thought it was. And
Hmm.
so from that standpoint, if we're taking things that we're trying to boost our serotonin, what if maybe actually we don't want really high serotonin? Maybe that's not so good. That's what I think is
Hmm.
so beautiful about these mood probiotics that are designed to support neurotransmitters in general, is that it's not just the targeted one, but more about nourishing that microbiome to create harmony so that we
Yeah.
can have that relief and that ease. And it's not, I'm not talking about like a major, just like the clouds have parted. It's a minor shift. That's why I always say, if you're new to taking any supplement, specifically our mood probiotics, I say pay attention to how you feel. Pay attention
Hmm.
to subtle differences. And if you have any sort of um, stronger, like maybe you feel a little unsettled or a little bit off, instead of just saying, oh, don't take that strain, I actually suggest going slower with your dose when you first start out, because
Hmm.
there is the possibility for die off. And this is another conversation I went really deep on. Some people believe there's no such thing as die off. It's just not a good fit for you. And then some people believe, of course, there is. And I literally, with my own products, if I stop taking one of them for a while and then I reintroduce it in, I'll sometimes get a headache or I'll get some stomach discomfort because if I went too fast with a brand new one. So anytime I'm starting something new, I open the capsule, sprinkle a little bit into either another capsule or a food or drink, and slowly work my way up. And then those problems aren't there. So to me, that has been a consistent personal experience that die off is real.
Yeah.
And by going slow, you're allowing your body time to get used to that new good bacteria. And for me, that's really been a helpful tip for anybody starting a new probiotic if the capsules are openable, which ours are.
Yeah, when people have chronic illness and they're looking kind of for a magic bullet, right? And they're trying all of the things when really it just comes to nourishing the body so that it can function optimally, and that's when things change, but it is very slight at first. And I love that you talked about the headache and the GI upset. A lot of people don't realize that probiotics, when taken too much too fast, can cause discomfort, and headaches
Mhm.
is a big one that people don't really know about. So I love that you talk about that. I also know that you love, you used to be a life coach,
Mhm.
and that's a big passion of yours. And one of the things that we were talking about before we got started was, when it comes to chronic illness, a lot of people take that on as their identity. They become chronic illness warriors, or maybe, mold illness warriors or something like that. And it becomes who they are. And you're quite passionate about that. So I would love to kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about that side of
Yeah,
things.
let's do it. So there's nothing more important than what you put after these two words. The two words are this: I am blank. So I am blank is essentially the equation for your identity. It is a prayer, a request, a statement, a demand. I am what? And so for me, one of the reasons I continually have danced with, like, I don't really know if this wellness world is the right place for me, is because every coin has two sides. And when I come into the wellness world, I feel like I'm constantly on the side of dis-ease or unwellness. And I'm like, hey, 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 no, I came here to show people you can feel good. I want to talk
Right.
about the other side of the coin. And of course, people come to me where they are and I meet them where they are. And a lot of times people reach out, which formula should I take? We've got 4 different mood probiotics. And I'll walk them through that, but then I'll also share a few books. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza, who helped me to really understand the capacity of releasing all aspects of my identity during meditation. When I close my eyes and say, no place, no time, no thing, no one, nowhere. And I say that over and over. No place, no time, no thing, no one, nowhere. And the reason that's so important is because we can get wrapped up into an identity that is not serving us. And sometimes it's from a place of love. Very often mine is, I love my children so much that I want to be right there and worry about them all day long. That doesn't serve them. That doesn't serve me. It irritates them. Nobody's happy. I have to release that identity as the mom that worries. I have to release the identity as someone who, no, I just care because it's not healthy and it's not serving me. And so this idea of I am blank, I am healthy, I am strong, I am in love with my life and I love myself. I feel like if we really just kind of practice some thoughts towards loving ourselves and loving our life, there's a shift that happens, because what we focus on, we get more of. And I wrote down one word that you said, was two words, symptom free. And I'd like to just say, even though I'm currently thriving, I feel really good. I've been doing lots of podcasts. My business is growing. I've got a new direction for my business. And as somebody that loves newness, I am literally lit up like a Christmas tree right now. I am not symptom free. And I think chasing symptom free creates problems because we make it mean something. And we make it mean that there's something wrong. But really, I feel like as humans, having a respect for the body's response is the ultimate freedom. So trusting that life itself is life word is the ultimate freedom. And so when I have a symptom, I've been changing my perspective around that. Some of it's based on my studies of German New Medicine, which is that it's my body healing. Isn't it wonderful this symptom is here? Hey, I have not mastered this fully. Let me be clear. But I'm practicing it and I know what to practice, because what we practice is what we get good at. And so I'm practicing seeing symptoms as healing. I'm practicing that with my children when they pop up with a symptom. What do I make it mean? And when I make it mean that the body is healing, the body is wise, the body is innately designed towards life. You know, you see those images of the dandelion growing through a crack in a sidewalk, through cement. Life is life word. And so just remembering that same innate intelligence that drives the dandelion up towards the sky is within all of us. And I get goosebumps when I say it because I know it's the truth. And I know it is a way forward for somebody who has been stuck in a spiral of suffering and worry and seeking. That seeking energy can be so draining on us because we're just looking for ways to feel better.
Yeah.
If only I felt better, then I would blank. Let me tell you right now, sister, do blank now as best as you can. And I'm someone who gets migraines sometimes. And when I have a migraine, I can't do blank. Let me just tell you, I can't do it in that moment, but I know that the relief is coming. It's temporary. And so I get back to that thing as soon as I can. And that trust of that ability to get back into what I love to do is what helps me through some tougher moments.
I really do love that because, yeah, the whole in the chronic illness world, it's like I got to reverse my symptoms. I can't live until I reach this point. Like it's just, and what I find a lot with people is they tend to hyper focus on the symptoms that are the most debilitating. And they
Yes.
just want those to get better. And then, but what they don't see is all the other things that are improving along the way. And they don't even see that their symptoms getting better. They just see that it's still there.
Well, and there's the
And
fear pain cycle. So
yeah,
once you've been exposed to the pain, you're afraid of it. And being afraid of it creates more pain. And so I would say if you're anywhere in that cycle, the number one signal that you can focus on right now to bring you relief is signaling safety to your nervous system and to your body. And for me, I do feel an audible relief of like that nervous system support through our probiotics. I personally find it the most through Bifidus Mood Boost, but we have 4 formulas. So I'm not saying that that's best for everybody, but for someone that says, oh, I deal with a lot of headaches and I have a lot of nervous energy, that's the one I point them towards. But that is not like, that's like one tiny piece of the puzzle. The other pieces are other somatic practices, movements, journaling, gratitude, anything you can do that signals safety. And that might just mean placing your hands on your heart and saying, I am safe. I am safe in my body. And I just feel like that ability to signal safety is the fastest way to get you out of the fear, pain cycle, so that you can get back to doing things you love. And I think for so many of us, when we're looking for healing and looking for relief, it becomes our identity. And so the biggest trip point then is, how do I find something else to identify with? Not I am healing, but I am creative. I am a baker. I am a puzzlier. Is that a word? I don't know. I am an outdoorsy gal. I am a walker. I am a runner. I am whatever. And so putting things into that blank that really are who you want to be, and embodying it, because that is the greatest step forward, is to embody it now, not someday out there. And like I said, if you're in a major experience, I've been there and I know that, but it's temporary. And to then step forward with all of your might once you get down off of that cliff, if you will.
Yeah. You know, getting healthy is a puzzle. And I think that's what is so overwhelming for people. What I don't think they realize is that it's actually really simple, right? It's supporting the microbiome. It's, understanding that there are tools out there to help with specific ongoing issues. But at the end of the day, you have to sleep. You have to nourish your cells with good food. You have to nourish your mind and nervous system with positive relationships and positive self-talk. And I think science is showing over and over and over again that our thoughts matter. Whatever we're thinking will come to fruition, for better or for worse.
Yes.
But I do think that replacing the, like, I'm a chronic illness warrior with I am creative, or I am I'm a decorator, I love to decorate my home, or I love to strength train, I love to run, and getting away from making illness your identity and moving that into something else is just so powerful. Even if you're not there yet, let's say you used to love to run, then you got sick and you haven't been able to run for years, that doesn't mean that you are not a runner. Right, like you can get back to that. One of the when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about Dr. Terry Walls, who's had MS, and she was a triathlete, was wheelchair bound, and now she is, I mean, she's in her like late 80s, early 90s, still doing what she loves. She's doing the research on strains of probiotics and how they impact the body, and she's moved away from MS and just into health. And I think that that's kind of the progression, is once you get away from the disease, you just focus on what's healthy, right? I see it over and over again, like Chris beat cancer. Now it's chriskessner.com, because he's like, I don't want to be identified as cancer anymore. I don't want that in my life. Yes, I help
there is
people
a
in
signature,
that world.
yeah, that signature energetic imprint of the words we use. It's like a spell, and they know that.
Yeah.
Take a look at these influential people, right? They know that. Don't put cancer in your name. Don't put MS in your name, right?
Yeah.
Put what you want: the health, the vibrancy, the life, the energy, the passion. When you were a child and you lost track of time, what were you doing? What did you love? What bubbles up a feeling of excitement and like inside of you? What sort of new idea is it for you that makes you feel alive? Like, how can you pour yourself into that? I just had to cut you off because like that idea was, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Like I've seen these people, I've been in the health world for like 20 years. And I've seen these people that when they first got started, it was all about the disease. Well, then they recover from the disease, and then they're just like, it feels icky to still be associated with that. Like, yes, I'm helping people in that world because that's what I know, but I don't want that associated with me. And I think that that's just really powerful. And I think that it's really powerful for people who are in the midst of feeling really awful to really realize, like, I can't have this associated with me anymore. Like, yes, it's something that I'm dealing with, or even it's something I help people with now that I'm on the other side, but it's not who I am. And
I feel like before we give up what we've identified ourselves with, we have to be willing to look at what we get from that identity. And if we get compassion and we weren't giving that as a child, if we get attention and we weren't given enough of that as a child or even a teenager or even our young adult years, we have to really look at what is the kickback to this other identity. And that can be frustrating to hear, but also it can be life-giving. It can be so freeing. And you have to ask yourself, am I willing to give up these things? And more importantly, can I actually instead give them to myself? Whatever it is that I think I'm getting, whether it's a little time alone or a little, for instance, with headaches and me, I have this tendency to not want to slow down. And my body says, haha, I'll help you slow down, sweetie. And I said, no, 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 no. Look, 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 look. We can rework this. I'll slow down. I'm not gonna, this is me talking to the headache part of like no, 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 no. No, I'll slow down. Like I'll listen, I'll listen. Those whispers become screams. And so it's that willingness to make space for myself to slow down, even though I love to go fast and I love to just have fun and make ideas, but I am a physical being on this planet, and so are you. And we have to listen to those physical needs. And looping full circle back to the free things that are always available to us are two that I didn't hear you mention that I really want to talk about. Because if you are someone who is struggling, like I used to run and I can't, so now what? Thanks for nothing. There's two key things that take very little, and that is sunlight and grounding. So if you can expose your eyes and some of your skin to that morning sunlight, it sets your circadian rhythm. It helps you get better rest. It helps your cells know what to do. Life is life word, connect to that source of light, and managing your light at night can also be very beneficial. I really prefer to use incandescent bulbs rather than LEDs. They're hard to find. I mean, I'll look at Lowe's, we'll pop in because we're doing a project and that's like our second home, or Home Depot, right? I'm just looking, I can't find a single one sometimes.
Yep.
I found Dollar General seems to have incandescents. So you do what you can. And the reason I mention incandescents versus LEDs is how much blue light they emit. And that blue light at night is the problem because blue light at night is unnatural. Blue light comes from the sun to a certain degree. And then when the sun goes down, there's no more blue light. And so when we're exposed to unnatural rays of light, it confuses our body and it confuses our sleep cycle. And we all know sleep is healing. And so that is why sunlight and light diets are, I would say, just as big of a priority to me than a food diet. And then from the grounding perspective, I actually am really excited. I have a pair of grounding sandals, but I just bought a pair of grounding like closed toe shoes because I'm in Kansas City and it's freezing cold here. So there's no sandal for a while still. But the closed toe shoes will allow me to ground from the shoe. And I love the idea of touching a tree, touching the earth, or having a shoe or a barefoot that allows you to connect to the earth. It's like a reset for our electrical system. And I just feel like those couple of simple things that begin to really shift how our body feels can help in immense ways. So small doses of light and grounding and outside fresh air can really shift how our body feels supported and reset that nervous system to further get us into that place of being able to do more and more that we love and that we're here to do.
I love that you talk about that because not many people get sunlight at all. Like just, people have full-time jobs, so they get up, they get going. Maybe their only light they get is through the glass of the car.
So I need to speak about that. It's not good. You got to
Right.
crack the window. You got to crack the window at least a little and let the light in. I wrote a poem about it. Crack the window, let the light in. People who think they get plenty of light because they sit at a corner office with big, beautiful windows are actually not getting the rays that their body needs to signal what time of day it is and all of those beautiful things. So I have a theory, this is not tested, but smokers, they're always going outside to smoke. But think about all that natural D that they're getting and all that sunlight. So I feel like sometimes that balances things out in a weird way.
Yeah. I always say like
they're committed is what I mean.
Yeah. The hardest part about quitting smoking is not the nicotine. It's the stepping away from stressful situations to go and take some deep breaths.
Yeah, what a blessing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's going outside every hour for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And just like looking around and breathing and thinking. So it's always like when people want to quit smoking, I'm like, well, how are you going to replace going outside and stepping away from stressful situations? Because every smoker I know is like, when they get stressed out, they're like, I'm going to go smoke. And they like walk away and they go and take deep breaths. Yeah, it's chemical filled deep breaths, but they go and take deep breaths for 10 minutes and then they come back and they're calm and they've collected their thoughts and they're like ready to talk things out. And then when they quit smoking, they become agitated. They don't sleep as well. They're more frustrated with life in general. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're not going outside and taking deep breaths for 10 minutes every hour anymore.
Yeah. And who else does that besides smokers?
Right. Yeah. Like, and so it's so it's so funny to me that like, when people say that, I'm like, well, you still have to go outside. You still need to take the time to take deep breaths. If you're still feeling overwhelmed, walk away for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like you have to replace the habits that actually are beneficial from smoking.
Yeah.
But also like when you go outside and when you're outside, you take like I live in Phoenix, so like I walk barefoot all of the time.
Love it.
Yeah, even I mean maybe in February when it's like 50 degrees, I'll put slippers on. But for the most part, I walk around barefoot all year, and my husband hates walking around barefoot. Like he will not do it. And I'm like, do you know what you're missing out on by not walking barefoot?
At least hug a tree, sweetie.
Yeah. He does love to garden. He keeps plants alive. I have a black thumb. I like overwater, I think, and kill them. And he can keep plants alive. So like he has that too. And I notice when he's been neglecting it, he's more agitated than when
well, there's the biome of the dirt and even smelling it while you garden. Like that's wonderful for mood and our microbiome. I'd also love to coach you on your beliefs around your ability to keep a plant alive. I couldn't help but notice some identities woven in there. I have a black thumb. Is that serving you? I overwater. Can you do that? Can you tap into the energy of the plant and give it what it needs? Of course, I'm just teasing you. But.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I do plan on working on, but it's just so funny because I try so hard and I just keep trying. And everybody says that the best plant owners are the ones that kill the most plants. So I've really taken that to heart.
So I read a book about the secret life of plants, and it talked about how when they would get trimmed, they would like emit like they didn't want to be trimmed. Okay, like they were able to put these like tags and like test their electrical impulses. And so I treat each of my plants. Oh, and then also they were able to see that a plant knew when the owner was getting closer to home.
Wow.
Because it is who gives it like the water. It is like the life-giving source to the plant. And so I think when we connect more deeply with our plants, they might, like you got to connect with them on a spiritual level, a cellular level, and then they'll let you know if they need water or not. Or you get really busy like me and you just barely give them any water and they're like, thank you. Then I feel bad because of the book I read, but I'll work on that identity of myself. I am a conscientious plant mom.
We all have those self-limiting thoughts for sure. So grounding and sunlight, what other things do you think have a huge impact on health?
I think our ability to rest is very important. So rest is not something we have to earn. It is not something we do because we worked really hard and then we have to prove that we earned our rest. I think the idea of resting and kicking our feet up and taking a deep breath is a wonderful practice to just show our body, like, I've got you. You're in good hands. I love you. I'm going to take care of you. And for some people, I think they ignore other needs, like they hold it when they need to go to the bathroom, or they don't get themselves a proper snack when they're feeling hungry. Like listening to our body, slowing down enough to rest will help with all those other things. Feeling into if you're tired, feeling into if you're hungry, or like I said, you need to go to the bathroom. These are all, it sounds so simple. It's like, of course you're going to the bathroom, right? Well, no, if we're so busy and disconnected, then we may not be honoring those most basic primal needs. And what better way to begin to signal safety to your body and nervous system and break free from the identity of someone who's struggling into someone who truly loves and takes care of their body. So rest is the thing that I'm working on the most, because by slowing down, we can really tune in. And I think that going back to taking a new probiotic, I don't know how I feel when I take it. Because you're not slowing down, sweetie. We got to slow down. We got to feel into it. I don't recommend starting a bunch of new things at once. Slow down, try one thing, see how you feel. And we live in a very, very fast world. And one simple way to also support your nervous system is to slow down. So signal safety, slow down. If you could take away two things, and then the third bonus is to really work on that identity. I am what? I am powerful. I am innately wired towards life. I am loving. I am creative. I am silly. I am a silly goose. Okay. Sometimes we lose touch with our silly inner goose. And I think that when we can get back to life gets to be fun, life gets to be easy. I'm here to create. What am I really here to create? Tapping into that feels so much more fun than what can I heal or why is this symptom here again? That hyper focus that we've learned out of a safety mechanism towards the symptom can be redirected, and we can have a hyper focus on gratitude. We can have a hyper focus on life as life word, and just shifting that attention. I like to imagine a table full of thousands and thousands of glasses that you can pick up and put on. And each one, you pick up a new one, you put them on, you look around and you see an entirely different world. And imagining that you can just simply take the glasses off that you've been viewing the world through and put on a more loving pair, put on a gentler pair, a kinder pair, a pair that says it's okay, a deep, deep sense that everything is really and truly okay. You are okay. It's okay. Golly, doesn't that feel so much better than chasing the why, chasing the what, chasing the what I do? What did I do? Did I eat this? Did I do that wrong? Give yourself a break and just love yourself and see the world through a new pair of glasses.
I really love that we're talking about this topic, because loving yourself, so many people view their body with hatred and um hurt, like my body is hurting me.
It's betrayal. It's
my
the ultimate
body,
betrayal. You are assigned this one body and you feel like it's working against you. But I want to reframe that, because your body is not betraying you. Your mind is being a little stinker monkey. Okay. There's a little bit of betrayal there, but even that is designed to keep you safe. Even that is okay. But your body is doing its absolute best. How can you show it appreciation today? How can you love it today? How can you honor it today? Because that idea that it's working against you is a feeling of betrayal so deep that it blocks us from experiencing the love and abundance that's all around us.
yeah, people don't realize that the symptoms are just our body crying out for help, not to hurt us, but to say, hey, you've been neglecting me. And what, in whatever capacity. Like I know so many times where everybody's doing all the right things, but they still feel like their body's just not cooperating. And it's so much of this piece of the puzzle that I think people struggle with the most, especially the longer that they've been sick, right? Like they just feel like, oh, I've done all the things and my body just refuses to get better.
If you imagine it like a highway in the mind, the illness, the symptoms, it's so quick and easy to think and believe. Of course, I feel this way. It's easy to think, easy to believe. It's that neural pathway that's been paved. But if you imagine a new way of thinking, which is a lot like a bumpy road, or like a road here in Kansas City with potholes because of our snow, and literally your soul will leave your body for a moment and you can meet God and come back and say, oh, welcome home. Imagine that type of road. It's harder to think and believe positive thoughts about your body, about your life, that there's a supportive force that's working in your favor. It's so much harder to think and believe that because it's a new path. And yet the more you think it, the more you practice it, the more you believe it, the more you smooth out that pathway. And so that is why it makes perfect sense that someone that's been on this healing pathway for so long is struggling to get on the vibrant pathway, the life word pathway, the creative pathway. I use that word creative a lot, and I just want to clarify, I'm not talking about just like throwing a pot or painting an abstract work of art, although those things are wonderful too. Really, we're all here, to me, as creators. creators of our own life experience, creators of our own destiny. We create our home. We create, some of us, businesses, some of us simply incomes through a job that we can give our gifts to. And really everything we're doing, we are creating. And we're creating our reality through the stories that we tell. And so that's why so often I am creative is what I go to, because it really just leans into the fact that you are the creator of your own life experience. And as you practice a new way of thinking, a new identity for yourself, and you ask yourself, am I willing to give up the kickbacks that I'm getting from being sick? How dare you say that? Hey, I got some kickbacks. Someone could slow down and check in on me when I had a headache. Everybody was very busy and stressed, but when I had a headache, they stopped what they were doing, and that felt really good. Am I willing to see that I will give up that, and I will give it to myself to be free of that pain cycle? Yes, I am. And yes, I will. I'm willing to look foolish for a moment, and I'm willing to say, I was doing that for the kickback because I'm a human with these needs. But there's an easier way. There's a much easier way. The direct route to loving yourself, filling yourself up, filling up your own cup, and reestablishing your identity as someone who is worthy of that love, with or without the pain, with or without the symptom.
I do love that. I think that people, if you are struggling on the cycle of healing and trying to heal, I do challenge you to step back and to say, what is being sick doing for me? What is it giving me? What need? And needs are okay. I think this is something I struggled with a long time, which was having needs, like needing to be loved.
What is the unmet need,
Yeah,
right?
what is
That's the question.
what is the unmet need that that having the disease meets, right? It's because, you know, I struggle with this because I know people are sick for outside things like mold in their home and, things like that. But I also know people who have mold in their home that don't want to spend the money to remediate, right? And that's a form of self-love, right? It's like removing the toxic things in your life that are harming you and doing it fully. But then then there's those who are struggling with just those ongoing symptoms for 10, 15, 20 years. And if this is you, this is what I challenge you. Sit down and list, what is the illness doing for me? What unmet need am I not getting, or am I getting because I'm sick?
Let's say someone can't afford to get rid of the mold. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's say they're in a situation and they say, I've got $0 to put towards getting rid of this mold, and my landlord said they're not taking care of it. What would I do? Personally, I would spend more time outside, and I would imagine my vessel being completely reignited, recommissioned. And I would do all the things that you say to do, to eat nutrient-dense meals, and to get plenty of sleep, and to get grounding, and to get sunlight, and to get connection, and to feel into my purpose as a human and what am I here to create. And I would give my attention to helping my vessel to be as strong as possible, because there are people living in very, very poor conditions all around the world, and many of them have no idea and are also very happy. They have no idea that there is a problem. Sometimes it's knowing there's a problem that really puts us down this path. And so if I knew that there was no funds, I would literally commit to believing it wasn't a problem for me. And if I couldn't do that, then I would work my butt off to create something different, as far as if I literally could not establish safety in my body and nervous system with the thought that there was mold all around me, then I would create something different eventually. Maybe not right away. Everything takes time. I expressed that I've had multiple failures in the entrepreneurial realm. And by that, I don't actually mean things that just were so bad that, everybody was laughing at me, but simply trying new things and then them not working, and them not creating an income like I wanted, and deciding to shift and to pivot. And to some people that may look like quitting or failing. And yet for me, I knew it's just going the next way on my path. And so I would say establishing that life is life word, energy and mentality. And from that place, deciding, like, can I create enough safety in my body that I am resilient to this, because there are people that don't have symptoms, because I do believe that stress overfills, like the stress bucket, is what will determine if we experience these symptoms or not. And so it's a matter of our perception a lot of the time. And just deciding to work on my perception would be my number one priority. And that shift alone might end up helping you to create the income to then move out if you so choose, or that you decide you don't need to after all. It really is a personal decision. I would never tell someone they should or shouldn't do anything. It's more about your innate wisdom and the fact that, once again, the body's not working against you, but your mind sure is, possibly causing added troubles. And how can you work on that? And that is through your perception and how you perceive things. If every time you come into a house you feel like it's trying to kill you, that is very scary.
Yeah.
And I would work on, I am more resilient than that. I argue with my husband on this. He is a tech guy. He loves all things tech. I'm not as big of a fan of random EMF floating around my head. And we talk about this a lot. This is a common discussion. He says, I refuse to live and believe that I'm that vulnerable, that I have not evolved to be able to be in this world. Look around, everybody's in this world. So am I going to sit and think it's hurting me? Or am I going to sit and think I am capable of living and thriving in this environment? I have evolved into this. So just new ways of thinking about things. And once again, not something I've completely always mastered, but am always playing with and always willing to practice thinking in a new way.
I really appreciate the food for thought on this. This is a topic I'm actually really, really passionate about that I don't get to talk about very often. And that is the power of our thoughts. And I think you've given us some great information to chew on and to sit back and evaluate ourselves, myself included, especially with the plant thing. But also I do want to dive into probiotics. So again, I kind of want to come full circle.
Sure.
So you mentioned that you have 4 different mood probiotics. Can you dive into a little bit of the science or the research, or what you know about each of those? Because I think there's just so much information coming out on bacteria and probiotics, and there's a lot out there. And so if you can give somebody a place to start, I would really appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll just break it down with our 4 formulas. We've got 2 with probiotics and prebiotics, and 2 that are probiotic only. The reason we did it that way is because having a prebiotic in your probiotic has been shown to help the probiotic be more effective, get where it needs to go. They work symbiotically together to produce a desired result. And yet some people are sensitive to prebiotic fiber. It'll add kind of like gasoline to the fire if you already have an upset stomach. So adding lots of extra fiber when your body's maybe not ready for it can be very problematic. So I wanted to have 2 groups. So mood boosting probiotic was our very first formula that we launched. It does have the prebiotic, and it also has 9 different strains of probiotic bacteria, each one selected to support mood and digestion, and even like immune support. Like they're all kind of tied in. It's not just like leaving that out. And then Bifidus Mood Boost has 4 bifido types of bacteria plus that same prebiotic GOS. And it's really great because the lactobacillus seems to have a bigger issue for people that have histamine sensitivities. And lactobacillus is generally the one you want to stay away from. And so we did a bifido only and called it Bifidus Mood Boost. And then you come over to our probiotic only. And here's where I kind of break the rule, because Mood Super Strains is our other histamine friendly formula, but it does have lactobacillus, but it's a specific type, a specific strain. So it's Lactobacillus rhamnosus GG, which has been shown to help with those histamine issues. So it's like a special type of lactobacillus, and that has no prebiotics in it. It's just 6 strains of good bacteria. And then last but not least, we came out with a spore-based formula, because we found that what works for one person doesn't always work for the next. And when it comes to lactobacillus and bifidobacteria, they work in a certain way that maybe doesn't always help people that have really reached a tricky place in their digestion. And so we have SBO Mood Boost, which is our spore-based formula, 3 different types of spore-based probiotics without any prebiotics yet again. And it really seems to help Like I said, when you've tried the other types and they haven't worked. And so the really fun thing is not only just finding which one works best for you, but also sometimes we have customers that have been with us for a while. So they'll end up saying, I'm going to add a little bit of the spore-based in with the bifidus and just see what it does. And it really does create a different synergistic effect based on where your microbiome's at. Additionally, like being in business 7 years, I used to take mood super strains and felt like it was too activating for me. And yet now I'm able to take some with bifidus and I feel really wonderful. So our microbiomes do change. We're able to eat different things than we didn't used to be able to eat. And I feel the same way about probiotics. So as our stress levels change, our microbiomes change, our needs for different bacteria change. That's the really nice thing about the 4 that we have, is that they can just be kind of made into whatever someone needs. And I do open up the capsules and I take about half of each of mood super strains and bifidus throughout the day. And for me, that's a really great hormone supportive strategy that I feel like is what my body is needing right now.
I love that you address all of it. Like the spore-based are, when people are in a really tricky digestive place, that's where we send them, is spore-based. And
I just listen to my customers. I'm really not a genius, I have to say. I really am not. I simply listen to my customers and actually care, and then say, okay, how can we serve them? And also when you get too many products, you get confusing. So that's not serving them either. So my goal was really to keep it as simple as possible. And once I hit that 4th one, I was like, okay, I think that's it. Let's not add any more. I think with these 4, we can do a lot of good in the world, which is what I'm trying to do.
I love that. I love that a lot. But yeah, so I was going back to histamine, and a lot of people don't know that elevated histamine creates a lot of anxiety in people. It makes the body feel very unsafe. It's very, very stimulating, and probiotics can make histamine problems worse in a lot of people. So I love having another tool in my toolbox as a practitioner to be like, hey, here's something that you can try, knowing that it's going to be, with them in mind. So I really, really love that approach. And I think that by listening to your customers and listening to yourself, you're able to help a lot of people.
Thank
you.
you.
Is really, I think it's just such a blessing. I'm really glad that we got connected.
Yeah.
I think we've given people a lot of information, a lot of food for thought. If they wanted to try your probiotic or reach out to you, how would they do that?
Sure. So you can go to liftednaturals.com, and that immediately pops up and shows that you can shop on Amazon or directly on our site. So of course, when you shop directly from us, you become our customer and we have your name and it's a wonderful relationship. But if you're already paying for Prime, we really want you to shop where you're happiest. So feel free to click over to Amazon and get that product super fast. That's the beauty of Prime. I mean, I love it. If someone's inspired by this podcast, they can literally go, depending on where they live, and they could possibly have my product in their hands by this evening or the next day. Like, what a crazy world we live in. So that's a beautiful thing. And we don't ever say, hey, don't shop with Amazon, because Amazon has been a big part of our business. So wherever you love to shop, that's what we want you to do. And like I said, liftednaturals.com tells more about who we are, where we are located, all of that, and where you can find us to shop.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for joining me today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you found this episode helpful, would you do me a favor and help others find it by leaving a review, sharing a screenshot on social media, or sharing the link with a friend? By you sharing what you've learned, others are able to find this podcast and join our community. Be sure to check out my website, www.roadtolivingwhole.com, for over 160 delicious recipes, a variety of meal plans, and a blog packed full of even more healthy living tips. If you'd like to learn more about how to work with me as your coach, you can schedule a free consult through www.roadtolivingwhole.com/health-coaching/. Until next time, friend. Bye.